I would like to welcome you all to the opening ceremony of Cyprus Week. We are here to remember that it's the 52nd anniversary of the Greek junta coup and the Turkish invasion of Cyprus and their illegal occupation of 40% of the island in 1974. Cyprus is now surrounded by wars, Iran, Lebanon and Gaza. Turkey has always been looking for the opportunity to occupy the whole of the island. It is time to bring all Cypriots together for a common cause, for a united Cyprus. No longer should these guarantor powers be allowed to remain in Cyprus, and there needs to be a new UN resolution to impose sanctions on Turkey. We must never forget what happened in 1974. Long live the Republic of Cyprus. I would now like to read a poem by Marula Eugeniou that he wrote in July 1974. Aphrodite weeps among the olive groves, the sunburnt crops, the bullet-hit stones, the shepherd flocks, the empty theatre of Salamis, shattered by heavy guns and murderous tanks, waits in vain for Sophocles. Latest Greek tragedy, Antigone is dead, Prometheus is alive, Aeschylus' cries could be heard over the mountain tops. Zeus throws his bloody thunderbolts, Troy is destroyed. Cried poor Euripides, no more laughter, said Aristophanes. Alas, Greek fights Greek. Once again Cyprus bleeds and Aphrodite weeps. I would now like to unveil the plaque in loving memory of my mother, Marula Eugeniou, for her services to the theatre and the Cypriot community. She will always be remembered as the mother of theatre and decor. We will now raise the Cyprus and EU flags. Long live the Republic of Cyprus.
Long live the Republic of Cyprus.
Bravo. Long live the Republic of Cyprus.
Long live the Republic of Cyprus.
Okay. Please now follow us into the theatre for the evening program.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. I'm Kyriacos Kourou. I'm the director here at Theatro Technis. Thank you. I hear my mother is in the house. Thank you very much. She actually is, but she's not you, I know. I'm slightly confused. We're Cypriots and we're starting on early. This isn't how it works. It must be our air conditioning. You must all be here because we have this lovely air conditioning. Listen, welcome to you all. It's lovely to have you here. It's particularly a pleasure to have His Excellency, the High Commissioner here. Thank you for being here. It's important that you're here because you kind of help remind us that this building is still linked to the motherland in Cyprus. So thank you for that. Thank you also to the Lobby of Cyprus and the Union of Cypriots in Britain. Thank you also to all the artists, musicians, singers, volunteers who give this energy, this space, its energy, and make it what it is. I want to begin not with a welcome, but with a date. As we know, 52 years ago, our island was invaded and our homeland was torn in two. Families were divided, villages were emptied, people became refugees overnight in the country of their birth. And to this day, a line still runs across Cyprus, a divide that no map should ever have to be drawn. There are people in this room who remember. There are people in this room who lost homes, lost land, lost loved ones. And that grief did not stay behind in Cyprus. It travelled here with us, in our lives, in our communities in London. So, in a few moments ago, we raised the flag of Cyprus, and beside it we raised the flag of Europe. We raised them in memory as a promise that we will not forget, that we will not fall silent, and we will keep telling the truth of what happened until our island is whole again. For me, the flag is grief, but it's also hope. Hope that we'll be united. We raise that flag this year and every year together. Tonight is a night of memories because also outside we unveiled a plaque in memory of Marula Eugeniou, who her husband George was the founder of this theatre, and they gave their whole lives to it. And outside we heard from her son Aris, thank you Aris, and for the poem. George died in December 2024 at the age of 93. Marula died March last year. She was an actor, a designer, an activist, and what we call the mother of Theatro Technis. And so this is the first Cyprus week that we have without either George or Marula here. They began in 1957 in a modest garage in Camden, and they were part of a group of a handful of Cypriots who decided to make something out of almost nothing. They had no money, no building, no institution behind them, only a conviction that a community far from its home needed a place to gather, to tell its stories and to be seen. They called it Theatro Technis, work, art, craft. And at the heart of it was Marula and George. They understood that a theatre for a community like ours could never only just be a theatre. So in 1967, they also set up the first Cypriot advice service, helping people with housing, welfare, immigration, the ordinary and the extraordinary problems of building a life in a new country. That is the true measure of what they did. They never sought applause, they sought all of us coming together. I first worked with George over 30 years ago, and before he died, he and his son Aris invited me back to build the next chapter of Theatro Technis. George and I had many of the same inspirations, the theories, mythologies. For example, we would talk about, if you're into theatre, you know what I'm talking about, we would talk about Bertolt Brecht and Joan Littlewood. And we knew that to keep theatre alive, it needs to grow, it needs to change, and it needs to develop. It needs to not rely on the past. And that's why I'm really excited about this year's Cyprus Week, a week of programme of work, which has a lot of new pieces within it. Over 7 nights, every one of them free, this building comes alive. Tomorrow, we have the premiere of Sundown, a beautiful new play by Marula Eugeniou about a Cypriot woman who arrives to London as a newlywed and spends her whole life planning to return home. That never quite happens. On Wednesday, we have the screening of The Story of the Green Line, about 2 soldiers on the buffer zone that divides them. On Thursday, we have a new play called 74, which charts the Cyprus invasion with the Portuguese Carnation Revolution, which also happened in 1974. And we have The Brixton Gang, a new play by Costa Luca about the immigrants of 1950s Cypriot London. On Friday, we staged Stella's Letters, Peter Costa's adaptation of a play by the late George Eugeniou about a woman deciding in 2003, when the crossing opened for the very first time, whether to return home to the occupied Gerinja. We also have stand-up, we have harp, we have poetry, we have song, we have dance, we have live art outside. It's an exciting programme that Lucy, Vasilis and Banos have put together. Thank you, Lucy, Vasili and Banos. Where are you? Thank you so much. As I know we all know, us Cypriots reach right across the world, from London to Melbourne, from New York to Johannesburg, hundreds of thousands of us, keeping the same flame alive of our homeland. A community like ours needs more than housing and work and a passport. It needs to have a sense of itself. It needs somewhere to explore its aspirations and concerns, somewhere to share its grief and somewhere to keep its joy. It needs to hear its own language on stage, taste its own food in the shared tables, and sing its own songs loudly enough for the next generation to learn the words. Our community needs art, it needs culture, and it needs a creative home. But for 69 years, our community in London has made an extraordinary thing happen in spaces that were never quite big enough. A garage, railway shed, since 1978, this old converted church. No denying we have loved being here, but these walls need new life or they will soon crumble around us. One of George's last instructions to me was, Kerry, build the building. So we intend to do that. We intend to build that building for George. If you don't already know, this auditorium is being converted from 120 seats to 250. There will be a new music and cabaret space, a studio theatre, room for classes, workshops, and a space exclusively for the community. There's going to be a bigger foyer, a bigger kitchen, a bar, and all-day dining. A home fit for our community, one of Britain's greatest communities of 450,000 Cypriots, and a stage where Cypriot artists work shoulder to shoulder with other professionals from around the world, the global majority, and the mainstream. And when it... Yes. I think that was an actor clapping, of course. Thank you, sir. Thank you, thank you. And when it is built, we will give it its fuller name. We will be Theatro Technis, the Cypriot National Theatre in London. Some of that funding is secured, but a great deal of it is not yet. You will know in your heart if you can help. So imagine your name woven into the fabric of the new Theatro Technis. And when you've imagined that, come and find me, or the board, or any of the staff here, and be part of our history and be part of our future. I would probably guess that every single person in this room was told at some point in their lives that they don't belong. For us, all of us, art, theatre, being creative is not a decoration. It's how we navigate the world. It's how we remember. It's how we celebrate and how we survive. That's why this matters. That's why Theatro Technis matters. We are not a luxury, we are a lifeline. So today, we remember our divided island. This week, we gather and we celebrate our brilliant selves. Welcome to Cyprus Week.
Η πληγή της Κύπρου. Μικρό ντοκιμαντέρ για τα γεγονότα του 1974. Η Κύπρος, ένα νησί με μακραίωνη ιστορία και πλούσιο πολιτισμό. Ένας τόπος όπου άνθρωποι έζησαν, εργάστηκαν και δημιούργησαν μαζί. Όμως, το καλοκαίρι του 1974 η ιστορία άλλαξε για πάντα. Στις 15 Ιουλίου 1974 εκδηλώθηκε πραξικόπημα στην Κύπρο. Η αβεβαιότητα και ο φόβος απλώθηκαν σε ολόκληρο το νησί και λίγες μέρες αργότερα, στις 20 Ιουλίου 1974, ξεκίνησε η τουρκική εισβολή. Στρατεύματα αποβιβάστηκαν στις ακτές της Κερίνιας. Αλεξιπτωτιστές κατέβαιναν από τον ουρανό. Άρματα μάχης προχωρούσαν στους δρόμους. Οι μάχες εξαπλώθηκαν γρήγορα. Νέοι στρατιώτες στάθηκαν στην πρώτη γραμμή. Πολλοί ήταν μόλις 20 χρονών. Ο ήχος των βομβαρδισμών έγινε καθημερινότητα. Ο πόλεμος δεν ξεχώριζε στρατιώτες και αμάχους. Χιλιάδες άνθρωποι αναγκάστηκαν να καταλήψουν τα σπίτια τους. Μητέρες κρατούσαν τα παιδιά τους σφιχτά. Ηλικιωμένοι περπατούσαν με δυσκολία. Ολόκληρες οικογένειες έφευγαν, παίρνοντας μαζί τους μόνο ό,τι μπορούσαν να κουβαλήσουν. Περίπου 200.000 άνθρωποι έγιναν πρόσφυγες στην δική τους πατρίδα. Σπίτια έμειναν άδεια. Γειτονιές σίγησαν. Αναμνήσεις έμειναν πίσω. Πολλοί στρατιώτες και πολίτες δηλώθηκαν αγνοούμενοι. Οι οικογένειες τους περιμένουν για χρόνια μια απάντηση. Μητέρες κρατούσαν φωτογραφίες, ελπίζοντας πως μια μέρα θα δουν ξανά τα παιδιά τους. Οι έρευνες συνεχίζονται μέχρι σήμερα. Η ανάγκη για αλήθεια παραμένει ζωντανή. Μετά τις συγκρούσεις, το νησί χωρίστηκε στα δυο. Η πράσινη γραμμή έγινε σύνορο. Η Λευκοσία παραμένει η τελευταία διχοτομημένη πρωτεύουσα της Ευρώπης. Σειρματοπλέγματα, φυλάκια, εγκαταλελειμμένα κτίρια μαρτυρούν εκείνο το καλοκαίρι. Η διχοτόμηση παραμένει μια ανοιχτή πληγή. Κάθε χρόνο η Κύπρος τιμά τη μνήμη των ανθρώπων που χάθηκαν. Οι νέες γενιές μαθαίνουν την ιστορία. Η μνήμη δεν είναι εκδίκηση. Είναι γνώση. Είναι ευθύνη. Παρά τον πόνο, η ελπίδα παραμένει. Η επιθυμία για ειρήνη και επανένωση ζει ακόμη.
Καλησπέρα σας. Good evening. Welcome to Theatro Technis. Νομίζω είναι η 40η φορά που λαμβάνω μέρος σε αυτή την διοργάνωση της εβδομάδας αφιερωμένη στην Κύπρο. Πολύ πιθανόν είναι και πιο πολλές φορές. Και είμαι πολύ ευτυχής που αυτό το χρόνο έχουμε εντάξει περισσότερο κόσμο στο πρόγραμμα. Και είμαι επίσης διπλά ευτυχής που σας βλέπω απόψε εδώ. Θέλω να καλέσω στο βήμα εδώ, I would like to ask His Excellency, the High Commissioner of Cyprus, Dr. Kyriacos Kourou, for his speech. Παρακαλώ.
Yes, good evening everyone. I will speak in English, if it's okay. Summer is not a very good season for Cypriots, especially people my age and above we were present, we were witness to the events that happened in that summer. And I hope I'm not getting emotional with the age, but every time it's quite challenging for me to address the events. I'm very honored to be here in this place. Like all of you, we appreciate art and we appreciate the people and the performers who represent the art because they make life bearable. And this is a very important task they shoulder themselves. Trying to make the atmosphere more light. There is a secret among diplomats that we all talk with from a text, because they know that even if we don't have a text, we can talk forever. So, allow me to address you as friends. Dear friends, it's a great pleasure to be with you this evening for the opening of Cyprus Week 2026 at the historic Theatro Technis. We gather at a particularly meaningful moment. Only days ago, Cyprus concluded its presidency of the Council of the European Union during a period marked by conflicts all over the globe, growing challenges to international law and the rules-based international order. For Cyprus, these grim developments are never viewed from a distance. We have lived through the consequences of conflicts, occupation, and division ourselves. Some may claim all our lives. We never forget the injustice fallen on us. My president remains firmly committed to achieving a fair settlement through peaceful means. We have set up our red lines, and we wait for the rules-based global order to position the adversary on the negotiating table, a seat it avoids to fill for almost 9 years now. UN Secretary General will be visiting Cyprus at the end of this month, in what will be the first visit by a sitting UN chief to the island in more than 16 years in his effort to break the current deadlock. In the meantime, as the all-consuming time advances, we believe that any sort of noble fight against impossible odds needs the people to keep on cultivating their values and their identity. That is why Cyprus Week is so important and why I'm proud to be here among us today. As I pointed out, culture does more than entertain. It preserves memory, strengthens identity, creates space for dialogue when dialogue is most needed. No one understood this better than George Eugeniou. Through Theatro Technis, he created far more than a theater. He established a cultural home where artists, ideas, communities could meet freely, making Theatro Technis one of London's most distinctive cultural institutions and a lasting expression of Cyprus' cultural presence in the United Kingdom. Alongside him stood Marula Eugeniou. Tonight's unveiling of a plaque in her memory is a fitting tribute to a woman whose quiet dedication, generosity, and unwavering support helped sustain this remarkable institution for so many years. Her contribution may not always have been as visible, I was told by people who knew her better, but it was deeply felt by everyone who was close to the Theatro Technis. Cyprus Week is itself part of that enduring legacy. Each year, it reminds us that culture has the power not only to preserve our past, but also to shape our future, especially at a time when the cruelty of conflicts, divisions, and all sorts of intolerance are too often present around us. Culture continues to build understanding, empathy, human connection. The passage of time can never lead to the acceptance of military occupation or the erasure of historical truth. Instead, memory must strengthen our resolve to achieve reunification, peace, and justice. Allow me to thank everyone who has contributed to this year's Cyprus Week, and especially all those who continue to preserve the vision of George and Marula Eugeniou, the father and mother of the Theatro Technis. May their memory be eternal, and may Theatro Technis continue to inspire generations through culture, dialogue, and creativity. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much, Dr. Kyriacos Kourou. We have with us tonight Mr. Theodorou from Lobby for Cyprus, the administrator. Please, would you like to say a few words? Thank you.
Thank you, Vasily. Lobby for Cyprus is very familiar with Theatro Technis, and we've had so many seminars here, and I can see George and Marula sitting here in front of us. It's a pleasure to be here again, and it's an honor to see such a full house as well. A lot of words have been expressed about Cyprus tonight, and I have a few words, but I don't want to make it too political, so I'm going to try and just say some words from the heart, from Lobby for Cyprus. Today, distinguished High Commissioner, honored guests, and ladies and gentlemen, I will have to keep the protocols, but today we gather not only to remember a defining moment in the history of Cyprus, but also to reaffirm our enduring commitment to truth, justice, and our shared responsibility to our homeland. More than 50 years have passed since the invasion and occupation of our beloved Cyprus. Yet the pain and the loss and the injustice remain deeply embedded in our hearts. Time may pass, but it must never erase memory. We remember those who lost their lives defending their families, their homes, and their country. We remember those who disappeared, whose families still seek answers. And we remember those who were forced from their homes, carrying little more than hope as they left behind everything they had built. If you remember our founder, Kyriacos Kourou, when he was always here at Theatro Technis, he would bring with him his little bag that he took from Kyrenia. And in that, he had photographs, memories of him and his family. We remember the women and children who suffered unimaginable violence and the countless innocent civilians whose lives were forever changed. Their suffering is not merely a chapter in the history. It is a living reminder of the human cost of conflict, occupation, and the failure for the international community to uphold the principles upon which peace and justice depend. These atrocities have been documented over decades, and recent recognition by the European Parliament only over 10 days ago has once again highlighted the suffering endured by Greek Cypriot women and girls during the invasion and its aftermath. But today we honor their memory, not simply with words, but with our commitment never to allow their stories fade into silence. As Greek Cypriots, we have inherited more than our history. We have inherited responsibility. And it's our responsibility to preserve the truth for future generations. It is our responsibility to ensure that the sacrifices of those who came before us are never forgotten. It is our responsibility to defend the principles of democracy, human dignity, freedom, and the rule of law that define the Republic of Cyprus. In our country, the Republic of Cyprus is more than the land of our birth or our ancestry. It is a sovereign nation, a proud member of the European Union, the Commonwealth, and the United Nations. It represents centuries of civilization, resilience, and coexistence. It deserves to live free from occupation, division, and injustice. But we must never become complacent simply because decades have passed. Occupation does not become acceptable through the passage of time, and injustice does not become justice because the world turns its attention elsewhere. International law cannot be applied selectively if it is to retain its meaning and its authority. But today, the world faces many conflicts and humanitarian crises. Our thoughts remain with all innocent people suffering from war and violence. Yet, while new tragedies dominate the headlines, we cannot allow Cyprus to be forgotten. The continuing occupation of part of our island remained one of Europe's longest unresolved international disputes. It challenges the credibility of the very institutions established to defend peace, justice, and international law. Remembering is not about dwelling in the past, and remembering is about learning from history. Remembering is about ensuring that future generations understand both the terrible consequences of hatred and the enduring importance of justice. The younger generation, many born decades after 1974, carry no personal memory of the invasion. Yet, they must carry its lessons. They must know why their grandparents still speak of villages they cannot visit, churches they cannot freely worship in, or homes they still hold the keys to, and loved ones whose fate remains unknown. The words "δεν ξεχνώ," I do not forget, are far from just a slogan. They are a solemn promise to remember those who suffered, a promise to seek justice through peaceful and lawful means, a promise that history will not be rewritten through silence and indifference. But remembrance alone is not enough. We must also look forward with hope. Hope for a Cyprus that is united through justice but not division. Hope for Cyprus where every citizen can enjoy freedom, security, and equal rights. Hope for a future where our children inherit an island defined not by barbed wire and separation, but by peace, reconciliation, and mutual respect. This vision can only be achieved through the respect for international law, the protection of human rights, and a genuine commitment to a lasting and lawful solution that respects the sovereignty and territorial integrity of the Republic of Cyprus. Each of us has a role to play. Whether we are diplomats, academics, community leaders, students, or members of the Greek Cypriot diaspora, we all share the responsibility of being ambassadors for truth. We must educate others about Cyprus's history. We must challenge misinformation with facts. We must support initiatives that promote justice, reconciliation, and peace. Most importantly, we must never allow indifference to replace conviction. The strength of our nation is measured not only by its military or its economy, but also by the determination of its people to preserve their identity, protect their values, and stand together in difficult times. We have shown extraordinary resilience through history. Despite displacement, hardship, and decades of uncertainty, we rebuilt communities, strengthened our democracy, and contributed enormously to Europe and the wider world. This resilience gives us confidence that justice, however delayed, remains worth pursuing. Today, let us honor not only the memory of those we lost, but also courage of those who survived. Let us honor the refugees who built their lives while never abandoning hope. Let us honor the families who continue searching for answers. And let us honor the women whose courage transformed unimaginable suffering into resilience. Let us honor every Cypriot who continues to believe in a peaceful future. Above all, let us renew our promise to our country and to one another. We will remember, we will speak the truth, and we will defend the principles of freedom, democracy, and human dignity. We will support every peaceful effort to achieve justice, and we will never forget our responsibility to our country, our nation, and future generations. Because the story of Cyprus is not simply about the past. It is about who we are today. It is about what we choose to defend, and it is about the future we choose to build together. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Theo. Thank you very much. And we have with us tonight, as well as others, Mr. Savas Georgiou is the newly elected chairman of Enosis Kyprion Agglias, the Union of Cypriots in Great Britain. Mr. Savas, where are you? Come and say a few words.
Thank you, Vasilis. Dear friends, distinguished guests, Your Excellency High Commissioner Dr. Kyriacos Kourou. First of all, I would like to thank the Theatro Technis Board of Directors and team for inviting the Union of Cypriots in Britain, known as EGA, to participate in the raising of the flag of the Republic of Cyprus, inaugurating the Cyprus Week. A momentous act with its own turbulent history, which persisted over the years, despite the fact that it cost Theatro Technis much needed funding from the local council. A testament to the fighting spirit and energy of the legendary George Eugeniou, who founded Theatro Technis with his beloved Marula, dedicated to serving the local, diverse immigrant and working class community through difficult times going back all the way to the 50s. I had the pleasure over the years of seeing numerous plays with themes about Cyprus, Greek mythology, as well as international interests such as the Gulf War and Palestine. Also, on a few occasions, I had the privilege of performing at this very stage as part of the EGA choir, led by the equally legendary maestro Mikalakis Michailoudis. The summer of 1974 has been a painful and a dark chapter in the recent history of Cyprus. Broadly speaking, at the time, there were two schools of thought prevailing among Greek Cypriots. One of them was represented by the then president of Cyprus, who concluded that Enosis, however the union with Greece, however desirable, was unattainable. So we should concentrate on reinforcing and stabilizing the Republic of Cyprus with the support of the international community. The other view was that Enosis was actually achievable and simply a question of political will, but the president would not take that step because he wanted to maintain his status. At least that's how I saw things as a child growing up in Cyprus at the time. It doesn't take much research, though, to determine that ever since the intercommunal clashes of 1963-64, the Americans, and no doubt supported by the British, were advocating partition in the form of double Enosis on a basis known as the Atchison Plan. The possibility of achieving Enosis by allowing Turkey to have a small part of Cyprus was viewed favorably by the Greek political elite and military circles, thinking that this would lead to the end of feud between two NATO allies. Of course, no president in his right mind would cede territory to another country for the sake of an alliance that had nothing to do with Cyprus. Understandably, the then president of Cyprus rejected such ideas and was viewed by many, Americans, British, Greek political elite, military officers, as an obstacle to the resolution of the Cyprus problem. To this effect, Greek officers staffing the Cyprus National Guard, especially during the junta period, were working to undermine the government of Cyprus. They assisted with the help of external agencies in the creation of a paramilitary group named EOKB, which embarked on a series of political executions and blowing up of police stations and other government properties. This activity reached its climax on the 15th of July 1974, when the Greek junta, supported by EOKB, directly intervened by staging a coup d'etat. This was followed by the Turkish invasion, with its devastating consequences 5 days later, on the 20th of July 1974. It should be noted that Kyrenia was left virtually undefended when the Turkish forces arrived in Cyprus. In other words, the coup amounted to an act of treason. EGA is probably the only organized grouping in the UK that, in addition to condemning the Turkish invasion, also insists on condemning with equal measure, if not more, the military coup. Don't misunderstand me. We utterly deplore and condemn the Turkish invasion and continued military occupation of the northern part of Cyprus. But we cannot ignore the events that led up to it. Simply put, without the coup, the invasion would not have happened. Of course, in addition to looking at the past and learning the lesson of history, you also need to look ahead. There are important parameters that cannot be ignored, one of them being the will of the international community expressed through numerous UN resolutions for a solution of bi-zonal, bi-communal federation, which is actually policy, a government policy of all persuasions governments in Cyprus. Of course, such a compromise, which is very painful, can only be accepted and have a meaning if it genuinely leads to the end of Turkey's presence in Cyprus. Namely, the military occupation of its northern part, the ability of unilateral military intervention, the ability to change the demographic character of Cyprus via colonization, settlers, the ability to disrupt efforts to exploit its natural resources, which can benefit all legitimate inhabitants of the island, irrespective of their ethnic origin. The other parameter is the existence of the Turkish Cypriot community in Cyprus and their well-being, which were largely overlooked during the 60s and 70s. The Union of Cypriots in Britain sees the way ahead as a reconciliation between the two main communities in Cyprus that will enable the end of Turkey's presence in Cyprus as outlined above. As such, EGA has over the years participated in bi-communal events involving concerts, theaters, and in more recent years has actively participated in the bi-communal festival, the third of which is scheduled for the 4th of October later this year. For those who are interested, please keep that date free. Finally, we welcome the renewed interest and activity by UN to resolve the Cyprus problem and the forthcoming visit to Cyprus by the UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres. We sincerely hope that he remains consistent with the framework he suggested to resolve the outstanding issues of the Cyprus problem during the last conference in 2017. And recently leaked reports that appeared in the British press about new ideas with so-called constructive ambiguities to be simply false. Only time will tell. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much, Savas. And now I'd like to ask my colleague, Lucy Christofi, to introduce us to the next item. Lucy, come over here.
Vasily?
Yeah.
Sorry, but I'm going to go slightly off the item. There's something I want to read.
Okay.
Okay? Sorry about this. We lost somebody very recently in Cyprus, somebody that was very important for both sides of the island. Enver, you're going to have to say her name for me. Sevgul Uludag. Sorry for the Turkish pronunciation. Go on. Yeah? Exactly. I'm going to read a poem, Vasily.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
No problem.
Written by one of the trustees here at Theatro Technis, Kostas Louis. It's called Rest in Peace, Sevgul. While the island of Cyprus remains divided, while the missing are still unaccounted for, while uprooted families still live apart, a voice of reason rises. It is the voice of Sevgul. Where truth is buried, where heads are bowed, where lips remain sealed, where voices are silenced, a voice of reason emerges. It is the voice of Sevgul. Now that voices reach out, now that voice calls to us, now that voice rings loud and clear, though it comes from the heavens, it will speak to our hearts. It is the voice of reason. It is the voice of Skevgul. Islanders, the time to unite is now. Kostas Louis. Thank you, Costa. Sorry, I went off script. Sorry. So next we have a video clip, I believe, or pop video as I call it. Song Kypros Momofonisi by Kypros Charalambos. And then after that, immediately after, we'll go straight in to Vasilis' poetry, I Envy the Birds, written by Vasilis Panei, performed by Vasilis Panei, Lucy Christofi, Panos Savidis, and Lee Michaels. So immediately after the video clip, we'll have the poetry. Thank you.
Άνοιξε γερήμη καρδιά, μένει σε βαδωμένη. Άνοιξε, παίξε, γέλασε, σαν ήσουν μαθημένη. Ήρτας οι μέρες δύσκολες, που πρέπει να διαβούμεν, μέσα στη μαύρη προσφυγιάν, ούλοι μας για να δούμε. Κύπρος μου όμορφο νησί, και σου και ο λαός σου, ούλος ο κόσμος κι αν χαθεί, εσέναν μη κακό σου. Πολύ ζήσαμεν και νιώσαμεν τους πόνους, την αδικίαν τους χαμούς, στο πέραμαν τους χρόνους. Μ' αντέξαμεν γιατί έπρεπε, για τούτα π' αγαπούμεν, να μείνουμεν στη ζωή, πάλε να ξαναδούμε. Κύπρος μου όμορφο νησί, και σου και ο λαός σου, ούλος ο κόσμος κι αν χαθεί, εσέναν μη κακό σου. Έρεξαν χρόνια άσημοι και γη μας καρτερά μας, μα φταίνουν ενεσβήσασιν κόμμα τα όνειρά μας. Κύπρος μου όμορφο νησί, και σου και ο λαός σου, ούλος ο κόσμος κι αν χαθεί, εσέναν μη κακό σου.
Μάικ, είμαι σίγουρος ότι το βίντεο αυτό έχει συγκινήσει όλους σας, όπως έχει συγκινήσει και εμένα και τον Κύπρο Χαραλάμπους, τον αγαπητό μου Κύπρο που είναι εδώ απόψε. Τον ευχαριστώ πάρα πολύ για αυτή την πολύ όμορφη μουσική. Και θα ακολουθήσει ακόμα ένα τραγούδι στο πρόγραμμα μας απόψε, ακόμα ένα τραγούδι δικό του Κύπρου, στίχη δική μου πάντοτε, με τίτλο «Θέλω να πάω έσω μου». Ναι, θέλω να πάω έσω μου. I want to go home. I want to go home. Αυτά τα τραγούδια τα μεταδώσαμε στο ραδιόφωνο και πάρα πολύ συγκινητικά μηνύματα έχω πάρει, αρκετά τηλεφωνήματα, κλαίνε που τα ακούνε. Εμείς το τι κάνουμε απόψε, what we are trying to do is to remember. We don't want to forget about our villages, about our towns. This poem, I Envy the Birds, it's in both Greek and English. My colleagues, they're going to help me to read it. It's a big poem. It's just, you know, it's my life, it's my feelings, that my feelings, how I feel after the invasion, how I felt when I went to see my village in Kosia and all this kind of thing. But without any hesitation, can you come please, Panos Savidis and Lucy Christofi and Lee Michael. Έφυγε ο χρόνος τόσο βιαστικά. Το πρόσωπο μας πάντα χωμένο στα μηχανήματα. Τάξαμε στον εαυτό μας να ζήσουμε. Αφιερωμένοι στο σκοπό, βρεθήκαμε ξένοι από το παρελθόν μας. Κανείς από μας θυμήθηκε την όμορφη αυλή μας, το πεζούλι με τα κόκκινα τριαντάφυλλα, στον τόπο που σε φίλησα, θυμάσαι, σαν γέμιζε νερό τον κόρφο της τριανταφυλλιάς. Και τότε γέμισε η καρδιά μου μυρουδιά. Και να, που ο αγέρας με έπιασε και με έβγαλε ψηλά, ψηλά, εκεί που οι σκληροί ποτέ δεν φτάνουν. Τώρα πάει πια. Θα γέμισε η αυλή μας αρβιλοφορίτες, που όπου να είναι κιόλας, θα χάλασαν και το πεζούλι με τις τριανταφυλλιές. Αλίμονο σε σένα που τις πότισες, καημός σε εμάς που τις μυρίσαμε. Έφυγε ο χρόνος τόσο βιαστικά, τάξαμε στον εαυτό μας να ζήσουμε. Αφιερωμένοι στο σκοπό, βρεθήκαμε ξένοι από το παρελθόν μας.
52 years of waiting. Many Julys have passed. This one is also slowly passing. But nothing happens. All we do is manage to go out into the streets and protest. Cyprus, July 1974. Cyprus, July 2026. For 52 years, we have been carrying the pain and agony of returning to our homes. Over the years, refugees have died. They have not left because they are returning to their ancestral homes, but because time is running out. They live with the pain and misery and hope of returning to their homes.
Deep in my memory, I remember Saturday, July 15th, July 1974. My experience during the days before the invasion in Cyprus, when, unfortunately, Greeks were to fight the Greeks. On the 15th of July, I was driving to the examination center with a friend when a radio station stopped playing music and announced that there had been a coup and President Makarios was dead. The rest is history.
What did you do?
What did I do? We just followed the instructions like everyone else. We went back to our homes and waited. On Friday night, I was driving to Dikomo village, where I lived that time, and on my way there, I was stopped by members of Eoka Vita. They asked me to get out of the car. I did. They were taking me God knows where. I was very lucky. Another member of Eoka Vita shouted at them.
Just let him go. I know him. He's an actor.
I was so lucky. He saved my life. They let me go.
Meanwhile, politicians are all the same. We celebrate elections just for them to tell us many things, for us to become a means for their ends. They sell us promises. They sell us fairy tales and myths. A representative of the Cypriot government made a shocking admission about the missing people. He said, unfortunately, governments did not tell the truth to some of the relatives of the missing. They know their fate, but said nothing. After years, they were forced to tell the truth, that they were killed.
Allora χρόνος έφυγε ξανά από τη ζωή μου. Και ακόμα δεν φάνηκε να έρχεται το παιδί μου. Ήταν Ιούλης που φύγε να πάει να πολεμήσει. Και έχει από τότε καρτερό και ακόμα να γυρίσει. Μυαλός καμός με άρπαξε και θέλει να μ' αφήσει. Και η νύχτα μαύρη γίνηκε και λαλεί να τε γυλήσει. Ήρθεν χαπάριν τζίβρε με, ξανά και ξύπνησε με. Χαπάριν που αγνοούμενον και αναστάτωσε με. Εν το χαπάριν που έρχεται μέσα στα ορώματά μου και καύκει μου τα σωτικά και κρούζει την καρδιά μου.
Μάνα, υπάρχω πάντα ζώγια να με καρτεράτε. Πέτω του κόσμου και τους λάσπω τίποτα που πάτε. Είμαι καλά και έρχομαι. Και εσείς που με αγαπάτε, άμα στραφείτε στο χορκόν, δίχα μου μεν και πάτε. Πάνω στον πενταδάχτυλον τες ρίζες μου θα δείτε, άμα θα με γυρέψετε, τσι πάνω θα με βρείτε. Είμαι σαν το κυκλάμενο, τσαμέ για να μυρίζω. Τσαμέ να με μάνα μου, στο χώμα μου που ρίζω. Εγίνει η καμανούλα μου, ένα με τα χωράφια, πόν να στραφείτε να άσετε, μες στο χορκόν σημάθια. Μάνα, υπάρχω πάντα ζω και να με καρτεράτε, κι άμα στραφείτε στο χορκόν, δίχα μου μεν και πάτε.
Αχ, Kerinja mu, you are my biggest pain. You are the blood in my vein. For what I miss, you are the main. I travel deep in my mind, touching all my memories, memories I left behind, the time when I had to leave. Now I travel in my dreams, looking to find what I miss. I'm walking in your streets, your mountains and bliss. Αχ, πόλη μου αγαπημένη, ποτέ δεν σε ξεχνώ. Κοντά σου Κερίνια πονημένη, και πάλι θέλω και πάλι να βρεθώ.
I remember. Then as a little boy, I had been to old Nicosia. I had been to those places probably out of curiosity. Now, growing up, with everything that has happened, I went there again for the same reason. out of curiosity. For many years, Lydra Street, known as Makridromos, was a street that hardly received crowds. I always thought that behind the walls there, on the Green Line, there might be a lot of people. I had this curiosity to find out. I envy the birds, which are always free and go where we cannot reach. Now thinking, we can cross over even from Makridromos. I was dying to go there, to see the old paths and to walk there again, to see the old market again, and enter the honey where we parked the car at the time. End of Lydra Street, I saw a police officer. A lot of people, mixed feelings. Suddenly, I looked across to the crescent moon, the flag of the opposite side. I changed my mind. I turned back and said to myself, forget about it. That night, nightmares torment me again. The next day, the same story again. I reached the end of Lydra Street. A Greek Cypriot police officer looked at me, smiled. Good morning, he said to me. I smiled at him too. Without paying much attention, I slowly walked towards the neutral zone. I saw them showing their passports, filling out the forms. Moving towards that, I raised my head looking across the flag with the crescent moon to make my mind change again. I stayed there for a while with everything that had happened in the last few days taking over me. The nightmares, the desires to see everything again that dominated my mind. I couldn't stand it. I looked at the flag again. I looked around at the people. It seemed like a dream. I stayed there for a long time until almost everything that happened to me in 1974 came to my mind.
The coup, the invasion, hearing the word refugee for the first time, what we left behind. My father, who dreamed of going back again, his attempts to make a small garden with a few of what we had and lost, and then his dreams that didn't come true. We lost our father suddenly, but we managed to bury him in the cemetery right across from Bendadaktylos, so that he could see his village and his home every morning. And the mother says, είπε μου να τον καρτερώ να στραφούμε μαζί, να πάμε μαζί στο χορκό. Τώρα, τι θα κάνω άμα πάω μόνη μου σπίτι? He told me to wait for him to return to our village. What am I going to do if I go now on my own? Μαζέψαμε δύο πράγματα και φύγαμε. Χαθήκαμε σε άλλες κατευθύνσεις. Ατέλειωτα τα όνειρα μας μείνανε και γίναν ένα μάτσον οι αναμνήσεις. Πάει καιρός τώρα που σκέφτομαι ένα ταξίδι γυρισμού προγραμματίσω. Κοιμάμαι με τη σκέψη και ονειρεύομαι και όταν ξυπνήσω στα παλιά ξαναγυρίζω. Βρίσκω στου νου μου τα μηνύματα, παλιές πληγές που μας ενώνουν. Τα βάσανα και οι πόνοι αναρρύθμιτα του γυρισμού οι καημοί που μεγαλώνουν.
We packed up 2 things and left. We got lost in other directions. Endless our dreams remained, and the memories became a bunch of nothing. It's been a while since I've been thinking. I'm planning a return trip there. I sleep with my thoughts there and I dream about old days. And when I wake up, my thoughts go back to the old days again. I find the messages in my mind, old wounds that unite us. The suffering and pains are countless. The sorrows of returning that grow. With all this travelling in my mind, I turn back and go back home again.
Άνοιξε γέριμη καρκιά, μεν είσαι βαδωμένη. Άνοιξε, παίξε, γέλασε, σαν ήσουν μαθημένοι.
Back to Magridromos. I saw more people coming. Suddenly I came to my senses. I felt a tear fall from my eye. Then suddenly I heard the Hodja's voice ringing in my ears. He woke me up from that lethargy. I realized where I was. I came to my senses and took the first step back home. I fell asleep again with nightmares and woke up the next day again with curiosity taking over me. I remember the birds I envy, and I wish I was a bird too, to go where people cannot reach. Anyway, unconsciously I gave my passport, took the small form, wrote in a hurry what I had to write. They gave me my passport back and I proceeded there. Without realizing it, I found myself outside Hagia Sophia again. The same image. Take off your shoes. The small sign stopped me. I sat on the bench. So for a while, I saw many people there, most of them Greek Cypriots, all with the same curiosity to learn, to see what was left of that time. I got myself dreaming and traveling to the past. In my mind, I got up and started walking. Community, municipal market, κοινωνική δημοτική αγορά. The sign in Greek informed me that I was outside Nicosia market on the opposite side. I was lost again. It was like a dream. But I quickly came to my senses and took the road back home.
I have the same feelings. Today, I feel a little better. I feel better thinking that I left with the hope of returning. That's how it is. If there is a hope, there will be dreams. The dreams that sometimes come through. So I hold on the hope and I continue to dream, because without hope, I will be lost. Let's dream and hope for the dream of returning, the dream of that might one day come through. Until then, however, I will continue to envy the birds that go there freely. They fly where they want to without giving an account to anyone, without a passport. And they make their nest anywhere they like. That's why I envy the birds. Εψές, ξανά θκιανεύτηκα πάλι μες στο όρομα μου. Και όπου κάτσατε κι άλλαξα, άκουα το όνομα μου. Ήτουν οι πέτρες, τα στενά, τσούλα που είναι κοντά μου. Εντζίνα που φωνάζασαν, ξέραν το όνομα μου.
The rape of Aphrodite. I have an instrument to play and verses to describe you. Describe your severe injuries. They make me cry for you.
I want to talk about your pain. My Cyprus, you are my pain. My little mother, my memories. How can you stand the injuries?
They raped you, my mother, my little sweet Aphrodite. They robbed you and left you. They split you and didn't bother.
They fooled your own world. They killed young and old. They took your best from you and all the goods from your soul.
Gave it all to others. They left you behind. Left abandoned children with fear in their hearts.
We must fight all together and make friends forever. Let's all now move ahead. Let's all share the bread.
Let's all talk about peace. Let's see what is there. Feel the joy of happiness, the solution to the mess.
Cyprus, my beautiful island, cheers for you. Cheers for your people.
And if the world is lost, you don't go. Please stay.
Last night, I dreamt about my village. In my village, I passed all the way through the most important places. My village that I love so much. Everywhere I went and everywhere I looked, I've been asked if we're going back. The rocks, the trees, the birds, everything else, they were asking me, when are we going back? Because they miss me. Because we left so suddenly without saying where we're going. Everywhere I was going, I've been asked if I was, and when am I going to return? Suddenly, I woke up and started crying. And then I made a wish to my God, asking my God to help me fulfill my dreams, to be able to return and meet with my old friends and neighbors, Turks and Greeks together again, to be able to feel happy again, to work together for a better future for all the people of my little mother Cyprus, like it was in the old days. I will make another wish now. For all of us to throw away the bullets and have roses in our hands. I believe we can do it. We can bring all the good things back and throw away the bad ones. I wish I was a bird, so I could fly and go anywhere I want to, without asking for anyone's permission. To fly up to the sky and see my village anytime I want to, without asking for anyone's concern. To go from one place to the other, to do anything I like, with not having to answer anyone's questions. To walk in my neighborhood, in my village, to sit where I want to go and visit my own home where I was born, where I used to play as a kid, where the roots of my family are, and be able to tell everyone that I am back. Oh God, please do this favor for me. Let me fulfill my dreams now that I still have time to enjoy what I've missed. Oh God, please do this favor for me.
Ήρθαν οι μέρες δύσκολες που πρέπει να θκιαβούμε. Μέσα στη μαύρη προσφυγιά όλοι μας για να δούμε. Πίναν πολλοί ζήσαμε και νιώσαμε τους πόνους, την αδικία, τους καμούς, στο πέραμα τους χρόνους. Μ' αντέξαμε γιατί έπρεπε, για τούτα που αγαπούμε. Να μείνουμε εις τη ζωή, πάλι να ξαναδούμε. Ερέξαν χρόνοι, άσχημοι, κι η γη μας καρτερά μας. Μα φταίνουν, εν εσβήσασιν, κόμμα τα όνειρά μας.
Εψές, ξανά θιανεύτηκα πάλι μες το όραμά μου. Κι εγώ κατσάζε κι άλλαξα, άκουα το όνομά μου. Έρεξα που τη μια μιλιάν, τον κουτσοβέντη πάνω, και πία ως τα γίασμα να πιω νερόν να γιάνω. Ετράβησα για το βουνόν και μπήκα στο χορκό μου, το σιχαρίν που τα αγαπώ, στο σπίτι το γονιό μου. Παντού, όπου επίαινα και όπου να δικλείσω, ούλα τους αρωτούσαμε, θα στραφούμε πίσω. Έτσι αρκέψαν που γυρών ούλα να μ' ρωτούσιν, όφια έτσι άξιπα και θέλαν να με δούσιν. Ήτουν οι πέτρες, τα στενά, ούλα που τον κοντά μου. Εντζίνα που φωνάζασιν, εξέραν το όνομά μου.
Time passed so quickly, our faces are always buried in machines. We ordered ourselves to stay alive, dedicated to the cause. We found ourselves strangers from our past. None of us remembered our beautiful yard, the terrace with red roses, in the place where I kissed you. Do you remember? As if we were watering the rose bush, and then my heart was filled with fragrance, and beyond the wind caught me and took me high, high, where the cruel ones never reach.
Now it's time. Our yard will be filled with the boot-wearing people, the invaders, who wherever they go would also ruin the terrace of rose bushes. A pain to you who nourished them, a pain to us who smelt them. Time passed so quickly, we ordered ourselves to stay alive. Dedicated to the cause, we found ourselves strangers to our past.
Ήρτασιν πάλι οι θύμησες και κρούζουν την καρδιά μου, κι ο πόνος είναι αβάσταχτος μέσα στα σωθικά μου. Άντεξε γέρη μη καρδιά, άντεξε καημένη, άντεξε και κοντέψασιν οι μέρες που ποθούμεν, τα σπίτια και τους τόπους μας πάλι να ξαναδούμεν. Θέλω να κάνω μια ευχή, στον πλάστη να μ' ακούσει, για τούτα ούλα π' αγαπώ, ποτέ να με χαθούσιν. Κύπρος μου, όμορφο νησίν, και σου και ο λαός σου, ούλος ο κόσμος κι αν χαθεί, εσέναν μη κακός. Okay, now can you play the video clip, please, the song?
Τα συμβάλε θύμησες και κρούζουν την καρδιά μου, κι ο πόνος ένα βάσταχτος μέσα στα σωθικά μου. Θέλω να γίνω σαν πουλί, πουλών και ταξιδεύκει, που δεν φοάται σύνορα κι όπου χωρεί πεζεύκει. Θέλω να πάω έσω μου, ξανά πριχού πεθάνω, κι αποθύμησα, μακρά σου ποιον εν κάμνο. Θέλω να πάω έσω μου, ξανά πριν που πεθάνω. Κύπρος μου σ' αποθύμησα, μακρά σου ποιον εν κάμνο. Να περπατήσω στα στενά, να μπω μες στο χορκόν μου, στο σπίτι που γεννήθηκα, στις ρίζες των γονιών μου. Να γελαδίσω και να πω σ' όλους να το μηνύσω, ότι η ώρα έφτασε για να στραφούμε πίσω. Θέλω να πάω έσω μου, ξανά πριν που πεθάνω. Κύπρος μου σ' αποθύμησα, μακρά σου ποιον εν κάμνο. Θέλω να πάω έσω μου, ξανά πριν που πεθάνω. Κύπρος μου σ' αποθύμησα, μακρά σου ποιον εν κάμνο. Ήρθασιν πάλι οι θύμησες και κρούζουν την καρδιά μου, κι ο πόνος ένα βάσταχτος μέσα στα σώθηκα μου. Θέλω να πάω έσω μου, ξανά Κύπρος μου σ' αποθύμησα, μακρά σου ποιον εν κάμνο. Όλα τους αρωτούσαν με, αν θα στραφούμε πίσω. Θέλω να πάω έσω μου, ξανά πριν που πεθάνω. Κύπρος μου σ' αποθύμησα, μακρά σου ποιον εν κάμνο. Θέλω να πάω έσω μου, ξανά πριν που πεθάνω. Κύπρος μου σ' αποθύμησα, μακρά σου ποιον εν κάμνο.
Ευχαριστώ πάρα πολύ τον Κύπρο Χαραλάμπους, αγαπητέ μου, σε ευχαριστώ πάρα πολύ. Έρχονται κι άλλα παρόμοια, γιατί my aim is to keep the mind there. I don't want to forget, and I don't want anybody else to forget. I am 52 years away from my village, and my aim is to be able to return back again. Εκεί που έζησα τα παιδικά μου χρόνια. Είμαι πάρα πολύ συγκινημένος και ιδιαίτερα που είστε απόψε εδώ. I'm very happy to have you here tonight. We're going to have another item in about a few minutes, and then we're going to have a break, about 15 minutes, and then we're going to return for the second part. I know it's a long night, but, you know, for our Cyprus, once a year, it's good to spend time and just dedicate ourselves to Cyprus. I would like to call my friend, it's an author, she's a very well-known Cypriot author. She wrote a book about Cyprus, Her name is, actually she won an award recently in Cyprus. Her name is Sula Christodoulou. Yes, χειροκροτήστε την. Yeah. Αξίζει τον κόπο. Ναι, και όχι μόνο αυτό, παρακαλώ, το χειροκρότημα, οι καλλιτέχνες, they don't get paid for that. We don't get paid. We're doing it from our heart. And our pay is the χειροκρότημα, is the clapping. So to not be just... χειροκροτήστε με την καρδιά σας. Ναι. So, where are you, Sula? Sula. Here you are. Summer will come. She wrote a book, and she's going to tell us about the book. Thank you. Nice to see you. Thank you very much. Thank you, everyone.
For having me.
Okay.
Very nervous. Good evening, everyone. Kalispera σας. I'm absolutely delighted to be here. Sorry if I've got a bit of a shaky voice, I'm a bit nervous. Welcome to Cyprus Week 2026. Thank you to Theatro Technis for putting on this amazing programme of events to celebrate our culture, our traditions, and our beautiful island of Cyprus. Thank you in particular to Lucy, Vasili, and Panos for inviting me to be a part of this programme. I'm here to talk to you about my novel, The Summer Will Come. We've heard a lot of mentioning the summer and the summer months this evening, and the title of my book was taken from a poem by the famous hero Evagoras Palikoridis, and it's a line from his poem which I have used with permission from his family as the title of my book. And I'm here to talk to you not about the book and how I wrote it and how many hours I spent at my desk researching and preparing notes, but I'm here to talk to you about the people who inspired that story and when that happened. My story was inspired by real people, and in particular, the stories of my parents. My mum in 2012 was really, really ill. She was going through chemotherapy and radiotherapy, and she had 3 different surgeries over the course of the following 2 to 3 years. And thankfully, she's got through. She's an absolute courageous, amazing woman. But it was in those darkest times when she was really suffering, when she was either laid in bed or hunched over in a seat in the front room, that she began to share stories of not only when she first arrived in England as a young girl when she was 9 years old, but stories further back, stories of life in the village, of going to school, of visiting Apostolos Andreas in Famagusta on a school trip. And slowly, all these stories began to create a little thread in my mind. And I realised that with Mum being so ill, there was still light. There was still light in her eyes when she talked about home, when she talked about Cyprus. And that really got me thinking about how many other stories are out there that we don't necessarily hear or we don't necessarily know about. How much time do we spend with our own families talking about home, how they made it to England, why they came, who came with them, what was the passage like? And slowly, things began to piece together in my mind, and I began to do lots more research. So, as Mum got better, we shared more and more of those stories around the dinner table, as I'm sure so many of you have. I mean, everything we do as Cypriots is sit around the table, let's eat, let's drink, let's share the platter of goubebia, let's cut the makaronia, let's dive into the big Greek salad. So everything was about food and family and sitting around the table. And it was in those happier moments, as Mum was getting stronger and stronger, that my dad began to talk about his experience. So his experience was that the troubles in Cyprus began back in the 50s. So he remembers lots and lots of trouble, lots of secrets, lots of whispering behind closed doors, sanctions, times that people had to be back in the village, they had to be home by certain times, and something very, very, very dramatic happened, very traumatic in my dad's life, and he lost an uncle. And that's what forced his family to leave Cyprus and come to the UK. My yaya couldn't bear passing that part in the village where her brother had been murdered. So they came to England separately. They didn't know each other. My mum was from Gadolevkara. My dad was from Ayos Dichonas. And through the courage of my yayayes and bapues, through determination and resilience, they built a home here, they built a life here, they built a community here with other Greek Cypriots and other Cypriots who lived nearby. And I'm sure every single one of you here can relate to that. I'm sure every single one of you can remember a Cypriot neighbour, a Greek friend, your auntie talking about Cyprus. Everything revolved around Cyprus and our traditions, going to church. I went to Greek school, which was absolutely amazing to think that I'm the next generation and I can read and write Greek, which is amazing. And what I'd like to do now is just read a short extract from the book. It's when my mum, aged 9, was leaving the village. Elena tried to lift her head from the pillow, but her head ached and she thought she spied the black and white cows of her dream dancing on the cracked ceiling of the bedroom, smiling down at her. It mustn't even be 5 o'clock, she thought, judging from the faint light seeping into the room through the closed shutters. Even the cockerels were silent. Her brother rolled over easily as she pushed him to the other side of the bed, giving her room to stretch her long legs as she untangled herself from her nightdress, which had somehow wrapped tight around her. In London, she thought, I'll have my own bed. She forced her eyes closed and tugged at the sheet. She thought of England. Images faded in and out, soothing her fuzzy head until she eventually dropped off again, the familiar roll of Andreas's snoring, the last sound she was aware of. In the streets, neighbours, friends and relations had gathered to wish them a fond farewell. It was an overwhelming sight, with tears and hugs and kisses. Baskets of food and fruit and preserves were being pushed into her mother's hands, but Evangelia had to refuse everyone's kind offerings. I have no room, but thank you. You eat them and think of us. God bless you all. Travel safe. May God bless your new path. Go well. Send our best regards to Banayota and her family. Go well. May God see you safely to London. The well-wishers kept coming, and as did the well-wishes too. People came in and out and hugged Evangelia and Yaya and kissed the children goodbye. Elena fought back her tears, but cried, saying goodbye to her school friends who had made her a card with a picture of Big Ben on the front and signed inside with their names written in English. Elena gripped onto her pink bag, crocheted as a gift by Nigo's mum. Inside, her prized possessions rattled against each other, her coronation mug, her rolled-up picture, her small silver hairbrush and mirror, and her doll. Despite her mother telling her to leave them to her friends, she had insisted that she bring them to London. And in the end, her mother had given up trying to persuade her amongst the mists of the throng of friends bustling around her in the overcrowded street. She laughed and cried and hugged. With heavy steps, Evangelia locked the gate to the courtyard for the last time and handed the key over to Zino to keep an eye on things until the house was sold. She didn't speak. Elena looked at her mother as if for the first time. The chatter around her faded, and for a few brief moments she was quite alone. Her mother was beautiful, even with sadness in her eyes. She saw her reach out to Zino and how he gently squeezed Evangelia's hand without saying a word. The bus hooted at the top of the village by the Gafenion, and everyone made their way up the steep path leading out of the village. Just as the bus turned the sharp bend in the road, Elena looked back across the beautiful bulk of mountains. She took in the rich pink earth and the silver olive groves. Trees standing beneath an ancient pomegranate tree, she spotted Manoli waving at her from the middle distance, the bouncing light of the morning sun aglow around him. She waved back, smiling, and then he disappeared in a cloud of dusty fumes as the bus trundled on its way. So from family history to fiction, the events of Cyprus belong to history. We all know the history. We've all read countless of books about the history of Cyprus, and it's important that we continue to do so. But the emotions of that history, the emotions of that time, belong to our families. They belong to the stories that we hold within us, the stories that we share, and the stories that find their way to books like this. I just want to say, what stories have you inherited? Whose voices do you still hear? What memories do your grandchildren know? What memories will your future children and grandchildren know? Thank you so much. I just want to say stories don't disappear because we continue to share them. And when we don't, they wait. They sit in an old photograph. They sit around a family table. And sometimes, if we're fortunate, they find their way into a book. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you. And just before I finish, I would just like to say that the book, The Summer Will Come, is actually optioned as a film on the big screen. We are currently in finance. If anyone would like to speak to any of us about that, please do. I also have a number of my books, because this is just one of 6, available to purchase in the music room, I believe. Thank you so much. Thank you.
So last level here in the music room, we had also people like Chapter War. We also have Edinburgh, one of our artists who's exhibiting. The art exhibition will be around the beautiful, with Chapter. The bar will be open, short interval, then the return, the shorter second half, and at the end of that, we have some nice meals. So do join us.
have now Giorgos Gerasimos, Makarios, and Andros. Τα παιδιά της Αφροδίτης, the children of Aphrodite. They're going to sing a few songs for us. Thank you very much. And okay.
Ευχαριστούμε πάρα πολύ, Βασίλη, και καλή συνέχεια. Το τραγούδι του επόμενο το τραγουδάει ο Άντρος. Ένα θερμό χειροκρότημα, παρακαλώ. Και το χορεύει ο αγαπημένος μου Πάνος. Και τώρα, αγαπητοί μου φίλοι, το τρίτο τραγούδι θα μας το πει ο αγαπημένος μας Μακάριος. Πάνω σε αυτό το τραγούδι μπορείτε όλοι να τραγουδάτε. Θα ακούσετε το στίχο τώρα και θα καταλάβετε. Ένα θερμό χειροκρότημα στο Μακάριο, παρακαλώ.
Thank you.
Ο Μακάριος ο νέος. Όλοι μαζί να τραγουδάτε, έτσι. Έλα, Μακάριο.
φυσήσει ένας αέρας των τόπων των καημένων και το δίγε δεν δροσάν για να φέρει καρτερούμεν το φως της ημέρας που να φέρει στον καθέναν και δροσάν και πως πασάν. Καρτερούμεν μέρα νύχταν να φυσήξει ένας αέρας των τόπων των καμένος και θωρεί ποτέ δροσάν. Να φέρει καρτερούμεν το φως της ημέρας που να φέρει στον καθέναν δροσάν και πως πασάν. Καρτερούμε μέρα νύχτα να φυσήσει ένας αέρας στον τόπο που κανένας δεν προτεί ποτέ δροσάν για να φέρει καρτερούμεν το φως της ημέρας που να φέρει στον καθέναν και δροσάν και πως πασάν. Καρτερούμε μέρα νύχταν να φυσήσει ένας αέρας στον τόπο μον καμένος και θωρεί ποτέ δροσάν για να φέρει καρτερούμε το φως της ημέρας πως να φέρει στον καθέναν και δροσάν και πως πασάν. Καρτερούμε μέρα νύχτα να φυσήσει ένας αέρας του τον τόπο που κανένας δεν θωρεί ποτέ δροσάν για να φέρει καρτερούμε το φως της ημέρας που να φέρει στον καθέναν δροσάν και πως πασάν.
Ευχαριστούμε Μακάριο.
Έχουμε στη συνέχεια την Κατερίνα Νεοκλέους, Kat Νεοκλέους. She's a very talented artist. She's been in many things. She's writing her own songs. But tonight she's going to sing, I think, 3 or 4 songs with her guitarist. His name is Joe Lavinsky. Joe Lavinsky. Ah, here he is. Welcome.
Καλησπέρα σας. Πώς είσαστε? Πολύ καλά. Ευχαριστώ πάρα πολύ που ήρθατε σήμερα. Θα μιλήσω και λίγο ελληνικά, κυπριακά, αγγλικά. Is that okay? Ό,τι έρθει. While Joe is just setting up, I just want to say a big thank you, obviously, to Kerry, to all the team, to Lucy, to Vasilis, to Panos, for putting on this amazing program that is so plusio, an opportunity for us to get together, to remember Cyprus, to always, as we always do, keep our Badrida in our hearts. Hopefully, soon, the dream of freedom will be ours too. So we're going to do a few songs. Θα ξεκινήσουμε με έναν κυπριακό. While I was looking for the songs to sing, I came across this song. And it's a really beautiful song. I hadn't heard it before. Evridiki performs it, or Yorgos Theophanos did the music. And it's called Azen Jemia Fora.
Παίζουν ούδι μου, πουλί μου
παίζουν ούδι μου, θάλασσα μου γειτόνισσα, ο τόπος μου εγγονιός αρφή και γιούδι μου, είναι ο κόσμος ούλος που αγάπησα. Άσε και μια φορά να μισώ πως γελάς, μα που δεν λες την χαρά. Να μισώ πως γελάς, άσε και μια φορά, στο χείλη σου γλυκιά να αφήσει μια μίτσα βασιλιά. Να μισώ πως γελάς, Γάτας που παίζουν ούδι μου, θάλασσα μου γειτόνισσα, ο τόπος μου εγγονιός αρφή και γιούδι μου, είναι ο κόσμος ούλος που αγάπησα. Ευχαριστώ πολύ. Είναι τα λόγια πολύ συγκινητικά. Πολύ όμορφο τραγούδι και έτσι είναι ωραία να πούμε και τα κυπριακά μας. Το δεύτερο τραγούδι που θα πούμε, πάλι για την Κύπρο μας, φυσικά. Αυτό το ερμηνεύει η Ελέξια και με το τίτλο «Η δική μου η πατρίδα». Και είναι για τη λύπη όμως και η ελπίδα πως θα ξαναέβρουμε την Κύπρο μας ελεύθερη.
Ένας εντόνι
Thank you very much. Now, I need to give kudos to my guitarist, Joe. He's amazing. Aka Konstantinos when we do Cypriot gigs, so yeah. Okay, so a couple more songs left for you. I'm going to do an original now for you. This is a song that I wrote. It's the title of my upcoming EP, and it's called Warrior Heart. And I think as Kypre, we have warrior hearts, capable of showing vulnerability, but also having hope in the difficult situations and challenges that we have, been dealt. So I want to share this song with you and dedicate it to all my Cypriot warrior hearts. The dirt felt the ground graze my face, pushed beyond my limit, couldn't find any trace of grace, prayed for a resolution, way out of this place, couldn't see a glimmer of light, oh but lost my faith. Suddenly I heard it like a whisper in the wind, just a murmur, starting somewhere deep within, and then I felt it like a drum steady to the beat. Battles don't mean defeat. It was my warrior heart that won't back down. Yeah, my warrior Keep your pleasantries, your apologies. If you haven't followed through, well, you saw your words to me. I'm not ashamed to admit when all I know turns to dust that I am scared and broken, close to the edge of your house. Slowly I sense you like the tide rushing in, all consuming, willing me not to give in. And I'm feeling like a drum steady to the beat. Battles don't mean defeat. You was my warrior that won't back down. You're my warrior For everyone who told me I couldn't do it and tried to hold me back, keep me biting at the beat. Oh, boxed in oh so carefully right. I never knew till I knew the power in all these invisible scars, my vulnerabilities. I never knew till I knew the strength that lies beside me. And something 17. It was my warrior heart, my warrior heart. Didn't count on my warrior heart, my warrior heart. Now, how'd you feel about singing along with me? What do you reckon? Yeah? You sing Warrior Heart with me? On my warrior heart, you ready? So I'll do it with you a few times and I'll enjoy. Putting my backing singers tonight. Alright, let's do it. It was my warrior heart, my warrior heart. That's it. It was my warrior heart, my warrior heart. Keep going. much. You guys are amazing. Thank you. You're officially warrior hearts. Officially warrior hearts. Okay, so we got one more song. I'm glad you're all warmed up now, because you're definitely going to know this next song, and I'm expecting you to sing along. We're going to end it on a beautiful song about our Cyprus, the beauty of Cyprus. Χρυσοπράσινο φύλλο. Το ξέρετε νομίζω, ναι? Το ξέρετε αυτό? So I'm expecting you to join in and sing it along with us. Thank you so much. It's been our pleasure to be here. Ευχαριστούμε.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you for staying. You see, the second half wasn't that long. We still got one more video to show. But first of all, I want to say thank you to Hellenic TV.
Oh, thank you.
Always supporting us.
Thank you.
Hellenic TV.
Thank you.
And that was Greek Radio. Yeah, of course we want to. He was telling me to tell you that Hellenic TV are going to show this. Well, hopefully.
Of course, yeah.
was funny. And also to Parikiaki, thank you as well. I know, yes. Thank you everyone for being here. We've got another, how many nights? 6 nights. Please do come. Please come and support. And our wonderful artists, Emma Gusev and Gita Bianidi, she is here. Their work will be up for the next, 6 days. So please come and see, hopefully buy as well. And we've got to introduce Steve's video clip.
And thank you, people. I want to thank Anthony Kyriacos over there. Maristos Estates for donating money for the Abbott Klein stores that we have at the
that's
side of the building.
Tonight, and as Lucy says, go on the website of Theatro Technis. We have events every night until Sunday. And if you like tonight's event, we're going to repeat it on Sunday for those who are not able to. We're not able to come tonight. You're going to act again on Sunday, my friend. And you're going to
Here every night.
Thank you very much, Dr. Thank you very much. And Dimitris as well. Thank you, Stavri, for the photos. Thank you, Yorgos. Thank you very much, the technician, Simon. And thank you, Stelios, the sound engineer. And thank you, Mr. Kyriacos Michael. Tomorrow, η κυρία Στέλλα τα μέχομαι, η κυρία Τσάκη είναι κλειδί. Κυρία Στέλλα, ποιος θα σου βάλω τραγούδια αν είσαι εδώ.
And a big thank you to Marula for providing all the inviting me.
You haven't finished, by the way. So I'm going to read out what we have on the website about a very important person here tonight. We're going to end with a video clip. So, Steve Constantine. Steve has worked extensively in the music and entertainment industry, spanning over 50 years. Following his studies in accountancy, he drifted into music, into the music industry, establishing a record company, a publishing and production company. He is a poet, a songwriter, a musician, achieving #1s in Greece and Europe. He has a literary award for a rock opera. He has written the music for many of the productions here at Theatro Technis. I haven't finished. There's more. More recently, he collaborated with his son, Michael, on music for various plays, notably the highly popular I'm not saying the name, Steve, because I never say the Scottish play name, but you can say it. Yeah. So he is a lifelong supporter and a lifelong friend of Theatro Technis, and of course a trustee. Steve, come up and introduce us.
Said it all.
There is nothing more than that to say. Well, that's between us. First of all, I want you to know that I've been with the theatre for, since 1970, 69, 70. I was a student at the time and met George. And like Aris said, that
his parents, they were like parents to me. Sorry about that. This place is a holy place. It's I can feel George and Marula moving about. We, as trustees, and I'm very fortunate to have wonderful trustees like Lucy, Panos, Kostas, is he still here, Kostas? Costa, Panos, Marilyn, my son Michael, Dorota. Have I left anybody out? Aris, of course, yes. It's a beautiful committee. Christo, of course. Apologies from Christo. He had an accident, but it's not too bad. He's recovering. So hopefully by the end of the week, I think he's in contact with you, Lucy. Yes? Maybe he will attend. But I never left the theater because I fell in love with it. And George and Marula, they were so creative, so talented, and especially Yorgos. He's a one-off. He did so much for the community. He set this up. When I met him, he said to me, "Look, Steve, this is where we rehearse." It was his front room at his house. And from there on, we established the garage and then the disused railway depot at King's Cross, and then this beautiful holy place. So I'm not going to go into politics about Cyprus. You know why we're here. And I've been doing Cyprus Week with George since 1974, really. No, just before, actually, before the invasion. So we never stopped. We'll carry on. And, but a great thank you to my fellow trustees of this place. And we'll keep it going. It's not a private enterprise. It's not a profit-making machine. What we make, it goes back to the talent that we've got. And I want to see more, like we've got talent. Lucy, Kostas, Panos, Dorota, and so many of you. And we want to see more in-house productions. It's very important. We've got to keep it going. It's Theatro Technis. I mean, it's for the community. It's not, like I said, a private enterprise. So, anyway, do you want to play? Or shall I say a few things about it? Well, in 1974, when the invasion took place in Cyprus, I wrote a poem. And after that, I decided to set music to it. I had access to top musicians, and would you believe it, apart from the bouzouki player, the rest of them are all professional musicians, English, and also from the Academy of Music, some of them. And I got together with them and I set the music to it, and we went into a studio and recorded it. And all the proceeds, after selling thousands and thousands of records, went to the refugee, yes, so the refugee fund. So one thing that I treasure a lot about that, I had a letter from the then President of Cyprus, Archbishop Makarios, and I will always treasure that. I won't go into detail what he said, but it made me feel very proud and very Greek as well. So I will always treasure that. Now, you will see a clip now. Now, that wasn't done by me. I had an invitation from Australia, from the community of Australia. He was the president and the secretary and all that. And I had no idea what was going on with my song back in Australia. It became their anthem. And I didn't know, so they came over to meet me. So I don't know how they got hold of it. And, but it was very, very touching and very, very emotional when I met them. So thank you all for coming. Thank you for being here. Thank you, all the musicians, and you. Thank you for being such great friends of the theatre. Please keep it up. Carry on.
Με πόσους μορφούς και με βάσανα γέννησες τα παιδιά σου, τα αγάπησες και τα θρέψες, τα κάλλη σου τους μοίρασες πανέμορφη κυρά μου. Ξένοι σε ζήλεψαν, σε γέλασαν, σε πήραν σε παζάρια, τις δαντελένιες σου ακρογιαλιές γύρεψαν να σου κλέψουν. Κύπρος, 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 πατρίδα των ηρώων, μάνα των γενναίων, αμάραντος στεφάνι στις πλεξούδες σου φορά.
Δεν πρόλαβες να ξαποστάσεις κάτω απ' της ελιάς τον ίσιο και πάλι αγέροχη σηκώθεις της λευτεριάς στο λάβαρο στα ουράνια να υψώσεις.
Κύπρος, 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 πατρίδα των ηρώων, μάνα των γενναίων, αμάραντος στεφάνι στις πλεξούδες σου φορά. Φλέβες μας το αίμα σου κυλάει απ' τη πληγή σου, αστηρευτή, απροσπελαστή, με μύριους παραπόταμους τις γειτόνιες του κόσμου. Για κάλεσε υψηλόφωνα, μάνα μου, τα παιδιά σου θα τρέξουνε στην προσταγή, το δάκρυ σου να πιούνε και δάφνες να σε δείσουν. Κύπρος, 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 πατρίδα των ηρώων, μάνα των γενναίων, αμάραντος στεφάνι στις πλεξούδες σου φοράς. Κύπρος, 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 πατρίδα των ηρώων, μάνα των γενναίων, αμάραντος στεφάνι στις πλεξούδες σου φοράς.